Dr. Cheryl Clarke. If you're here for the very first time, I am here to give you your power call as we come every morning every Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to give you a power call. And I am a psychotherapist and I come here and I give you a little psycho education about your voice, how to recover your voice, how to speak with power, how to stand in power. And this is a women of color. And I specifically talk to you and how we can begin to move in our power, speak with our power, stand in our power. All right. So why don't you go ahead if I'm the author of Girl You Cute? And in the very beginning of that book, it has the Speak Your Power Now declaration. So we usually start with that. If you're able to take a nice, slow, deep breath into the nostrils and exhale that out. Take a nice, slow, deep breath into the nostrils once again and exhale that out. Repeat silently to yourself after me. Today, I reclaim my power of purpose. Today, I declare that I have unshakable faith and confidence in my uniqueness. Today, I declare that I will not live in fear, but with power, love, and a sound mind. Today, I declare that I always communicate with words to empower myself and others. Today, I declare to always honor myself by living in the present and living powerfully in each moment. Amen and Ashe. Well, I got a great topic for you today, and I think this is really good for today for a couple of reasons. Um, the reason is because we have been going through how to speak with power, how to give yourself permission to speak with power. We've been going through these things, and I think the thing that we need to talk about today is boundaries. I think that a lot of times we don't realize that boundaries are necessary for you in order for you to speak with power. And a lot of times we get confused about how, if we over explain our boundaries, if we don't really realize that given permission, if we got the permission for the voice, and joining me today, if you realize what I do, is I give people the voice recovery journey. Sometimes we lose our voice, sometimes we never really had our voice. And so in this moment, for the very first, if you're here for the first time, on a couple of weeks ago when we talked about giving yourself permission. And I talked about the difference between talking and communicating, how to strategically move through that. And so today, when we talk about using the voice to set boundaries and then set them without any guilt, set them without any apologies, set them without you saying that I have to do this because, over explaining. See, the problem is when I've noticed is that here's what I probably see a lot when women do the work, they recover their voice, they learn to communicate. But when it comes down to setting boundaries, we collapse into like that explaining mode. And it's like, I'm sorry, but I can't do this because my schedule is so packed. And, I have things on Tuesday and, my mom, is visiting. I can't really do this. So you start over explaining. But the time that you're done, right? There's the boundaries has become a negotiation. So it's no longer a boundary, it's you're negotiating. The other person hears you, but if you push harder, you start to cave. And those things you start to get resentment around. So as they push, you cave. They push some more, and then you become in that situation where you give in. So today we're going to fix that a little bit. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how your no doesn't need explanation. It's a complete sentence. I know you probably heard that so many times before, but it is a complete sentence. And you're about to learn how your over explaining can actually undermine your boundaries, right? So let me just talk about how I realized this as as my community for brown and black women. We were taught your family comes first. It doesn't matter. I mean, how many of us was taught that your family comes first? Setting boundaries, abandoning your people. No, you can't do that, right? How about this one? Be the strong Black woman. Having boundaries may look like you're weak. If you say no, that you can't do so, you got another thing you put on your plate. Here's another one. Don't make them uncomfortable. There's a lot of us don't like to see people uncomfortable. So boundaries is we sometimes may feel people to be uncomfortable. So like I could say a lot of times when we look at, even our white counterparts, when they do something or say something that, or a male counterpart, what do we do? When someone tries to undermine you or demean you? Or how about when the people think you're selfish for setting boundaries? So we learned throughout our life and we lived without boundaries. Even at work, we take everything on. We don't have time for things. At home, we host every holiday. That was me. Every holiday, I was hosting. Every holiday. If it wasn't Thanksgiving, if it wasn't Christmas, if it wasn't, I mean, I believe Valentine's Day, it was every holiday I was hosting something. It was, if I had to think about it, somebody was at my house. I'm just thinking about that now. Like I was the super host and you know something? I've come to think of it. My girlfriend was like expecting it. Oh, so we're just gonna go to Cheryl's house for the Halloween party. Oh, we're just gonna do this. And it was just like, no, because I'm left cleaning up. I'm left, where everybody goes home and I'm exhausted. And I'm like, wait a minute. No, this isn't, no, I can't do this. Because the boundaries of looking good, possibly, and that is not how you're going to begin to live your life. And then you live out and you begin to have resentment for people, right? So this is the thing where no one told you because at times when you host everything, the relationship that we give more than we receive. And then we burn out. And then we get mad. And then we don't communicate well. So here's what nobody kind of really tells you. Boundaries don't betray your culture. The lack of boundaries betrays yourself. I want you to realize that the boundaries you betray don't betray your culture. You betray yourself. You don't honor your family and say, by overdoing it. No, because you want to be around. You have to care about your community, of course, but you also have to care about yourself, and that's not selfish. That's not selfish. So, what I wanted to do today was actually give you the sense of sensibility of how that over explaining, this may be you, or it may not be, when you're trying to set boundaries, right, in your life, and then you begin to over explain. Because when we feel guilty, right? Because when we feel guilty and when we think about it, if we give ourselves enough reasons, they'll understand and less guilt to sit in. Think about it. But when you over explain, what it actually does is turns your boundaries into a negotiation. I started off with that. And let me talk about that a little bit. If I could just argue this, if you could people say, if I could just do that, she'll change her mind. So you start sparring, going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It signals that you're not confident enough in your own no. You haven't gotten a private practice enough. So you got to give it that. You got to begin to look at your life and say, this is an opportunity for me to not get exhausted. And well, if I do this, will this exhaust me? See, over explaining also, when it shows that research, over explaining is a trauma response. You learn that if you explain enough, they might accept my no. And the reality is, your no doesn't require their acceptance. Is that a big one? Is that a big one or is that a big one? I'm going to give you a real time example about what happened to me. And it was recent. So I was on a panel and the facilitator had changed up some things and I didn't know that it was changed up. So I had my things and I was going through them. And the facilitator um, yelled, well, not really yelled, but kind of did it like an insult. And so I was like, wow. I said that was uncalled for. So I finished up, what I was doing. And I said later on, I said that later on to that person, I went to them and I said, you know what? That can't happen again. I said, because I said, my boundary is that we will have mutual respect for each other as colleagues moving forward. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to present on your platform anymore. I don't have to explain. I told him what happened. I then moved to the next step. And what was it going to be? Moving forward, he said that it would never happen again. We move forward, and that's that. So I have to take that person at their word, and I will choose if I do it or not. That's power. That's not going away with resentment. It get trapped in your body. See, when resentment gets trapped in your body, it can do things to you. It start affecting your organs. It start affecting your anxiety. So I struggled very many years with anxiety. So those are the things that really you got to protect your voice at any point. You got to protect your body. You have to begin to look at how the voice recovery with boundaries, it sets it for you. It begins to move. Things will happen, but it doesn't have to hijack you in the moment. So using your voice begins to protect yourself. I used my voice in that moment. Someone said something, I didn't like it. It was clear. So the first step is that you got to be very clear in your moment. State the boundary and no apologizing, no over explaining. So let me show you what an apology with over explaining. I'm sorry, but I don't think I could do this. I wish I could, but I got something else I got going on over here. That's over explaining. How about I'm not available today? Oh, that's not going to work for me. No, I can't do that. See, this is where you can really start to practice that. And you know how I am. Practice in your mirror. Practice in your mirror. Practice on people. Practice with your friends. Practice with that. So when you look at that, I'm not available today. I'm not discussing. I'm not, and don't discuss your personal life if it's very in that space. And you can practice this right now. Right now where you are, say. I would just say, Sharon, Miss Harmon writes, this is so me, so many ways I need to hear this. How about this? Say right now where you are. No, I'm not available. Just say that right where you are. If you could say that right now where you are, no, I'm not available. How about this one? When something makes you feel uncomfortable, can you really say that what I did? I mean, it takes time. That made me feel uncomfortable. Or when you're really looking at yourself and really putting yourself first, can you say things and be able to move with certain situations? You owe yourself this. Remember, no is a complete sentence. All right? And the reasons don't have to be there because they can settle in as resentment because now you start to negotiate. So I want you to come out with this conception that no is healthy, right? Sometimes we would do like a reciprocal relationship, but it's not required from people. A reciprocal relationship is not required from you or from them. You expecting them to do something because you did it. How many of us do that? No. See, when we go ahead and start doing this and repeat the defending and stuff, this is where we fall short, right? Of understanding who we are. When the other person pushbacks, but why not? That's not fair. Can you do that? If I do this, I thought we were friends. Don't take the bait. This is your time to look at, you know, you had something planned. Can you help me move this weekend? No, I'm not available for that. But why not? What you doing? I have other commitments. Can't you move them for me? I'm not available for that. You're being selfish. That's what you're being. I hear you. But my answer is still no. But I love you. But my answer is still no. You know, you can keep doing that. That wasn't nasty. I stated my boundary. I'm not going to keep discussing it over and over. Then walk away. Walk away. Hang up the phone. Speak to you later. Don't justify, don't argue, don't defend, don't explain. That's an acronym, Jade. Think of the stone jade. Don't justify, don't argue, don't defend, don't explain. Just hold. Oh, I like that. Let me put that in the chat. Jade. Let me put this in. I like that acronym. See, I put the whole thing in there. You got that. You wait a minute, hold on. Let me just before I put I think it's Jade. Okay. Jade. J-A-D-E. J-A-D-E. Justify. I'm gonna put this in here for everyone so they can have it. Because I think this is justify, don't justify, argue, defend. Okay. And then you can take these things or explain yourself, right? All right. And that way you could begin to hold that line. And same thing at work. Can you take on this extra project? Let's see if you have the capacity. Just pause in a moment. Do you have the capacity for that right now? Think about it. No, my plate is full right now. I'm not able to take that. What if I move your deadline? What if I move that? It doesn't solve the capacity issue, but it really will say clear and direct. I'm not able to do that right now. I have to finish up. I'm gonna finish up this, move forward. They're asking you to host things. They're asking you to host the next dinner for the family. I'm not hosting this year, but everyone expecting you to host. I'm taking a break from hosting. Like my children, they did not understand. I did not host Thanksgiving this year. I moved it up. I did something else, and they were just like, I said, I'm going on a cruise. They was confused. And they went to Friendsgiving with their family, I mean, with their friends and stuff. I did have a little small dinner the weekend before. And then that was that. People will begin to adjust to your boundaries. So this is the mirror work I want you to do this week. You know, when I always talk about your mirror is a reflection of you. And when you take that mirror and you start talking to her, I want you to talk to her in the mirror. Talk to her, no explaining. I have a right to my boundaries. I will now explain. I will not apologize for protecting myself. When I say no, I mean no. It's a full sentence. I speak my power now. I set clear boundaries. That's not selfish. That's you respecting yourself and your boundaries. All right. I hope you enjoyed this today. Any questions or comments? This is your time to open up your mic or put it in the chat.
Good morning.
Good morning, Sophia. How are you this morning?
I'm doing well, doctor. I would say this was very powerful, and I almost see it in a sense, even when you talk to certain people, that trauma response, like you send a text message, "I'm sorry, I'm just seeing it. I just sent it 2 minutes ago." I'm not expecting an instant response. I find that I've made it a point to stop saying sorry years ago, just because I seen something when I was at work, when I was active duty, where this gentleman said sorry to this officer. He's like, "What do you have to be sorry for? Because we shared air? You know, you're not a sorry." Like, he went through a whole spiel that was very empowering. He was like, "Don't say sorry unless you did something to hurt me, but don't say sorry because you think I'm uncomfortable." And so I took that as like, wow, that is, you don't realize how many times you say sorry in just trying to state a purpose. And what am I apologizing for? What I need to do. I'm just telling you what I need to do, and that's it. So I found that to be very impactful, and I like that. And I too had a similar situation with boundaries where my supervisor and I get along very well, and there's an individual in our division, and he's in charge of a department in that. And she's like, we might fire him. Do you want his job? It doesn't give me any difference. It doesn't give me any leverage. And I would have to come in, and I work from home. And I was like, I love working with you guys, but I'm going to stay where I'm at, because that would not help me in my lifestyle. It would help her, but me going to work every day wouldn't help me in my regular routine. So, I mean, I told my aunt, she's like, "You sure you should say that?" And I was like, "Well, I'd rather be honest and hold the truth versus take on something that's going to overwhelm me and not help me."
Yeah. I think that's so good because then you're the only person know what capacity you have. That's how a lot of times people get depressed and they do things they don't want to do because they're trying to satisfy other people. Be happy.
I think
Be
you could be friends with people, but not use, because we're friends and you're my supervisor. Does it mean that I should make myself uncomfortable to make you happy with the job requirement?
Yeah, yeah. And then there are some things that you're going to have to do, right? That is out, some things that's, that will make you feel uncomfortable, but then be able to ask for support with it. Because there's going to be some job duties, let's be honest,
Yeah.
that they're going to ask you to do. And then you're not comfortable with it, is there someone that can support me in this position? Until I get my footing with this, was this attitude, it's coming with the other, you just get clarity. That's another thing. We don't get clarity about what we're walking into. Sometimes we just accept it because of who's giving it to us. No, you don't always have to accept what's given to you. And I think as a culture, we're known for acceptance because we're going to feel like we're going to have consequences and bad consequences if we don't accept things. Do we have agency? I believe we do have agency. We have to give ourselves agency. We have to take it sometime.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. Anyone else that would like to say anything?
Yes, good morning, Dr. Cheryl. This is Denise Shen. Good morning.
Good
Uh,
morning. Good to be
um, thank you. Just like I said in the chat, what happened was I had just came in, but initially just hearing the first sentence you spoke, that was so me. Um, I have been one that could not say no. And I'm realizing, through sitting with you, um, and just through just as I sit with myself, where this is coming from. It's the truth when you say it's a trauma response, and I can speak for myself that had been has been a trauma response. And what I had found was by, um, not saying no, um, I became overextended, frustrated. And I remember I had a moment, a very revelatory moment where, I was upset about the situation, upset with the person. And finally, I had to, I had that little conversation with myself to say, but why are you upset with that person? Because you're the one that said yes. You're the one that said yes when you should have said no. So this was so rich, and I thank you so much for this. I'll definitely I am beginning to practice that. It does feel a little uncomfortable because it's something that I'm not accustomed to doing. But what I'm also learning in building up self-love for myself and self-respect for myself, Dr. Shell, that I am valuable, that my life is valuable, my time is valuable, my emotions are valuable, that I am valuable and valuable to where I set the boundaries because I love helping people. I really do. That's who I am. And what I hear from you, it's not about changing like who I am. I love helping people, but it is putting the the boundaries in place so that because I realize this is all starting with me. Everything, what I'm learning is everything starts with me. I am the origin point, but this is making sure that I continue to be balanced and healthy emotionally, healthy mentally, healthy physically. And it's okay. And I'm okay. So I thank you so much because this spoke um, to many areas in my life as I am on this journey of, um, of inner healing and self love. So thank you so much for this.
Yeah, I think you touched a couple of points that probably everyone in this room can relate to. Um, when we are responding to others, we need to look and see where is it coming from. But a lot of times we don't do that. We don't pause in the moment and look to see if this is a trauma response. So when we're doing that, we need to begin to look at that. So this is great. Anybody else that would like to speak? Is this your moment? Is this your time? Because I think it's important if you're able to do this. So today I want you to just move into being present with self when things do show up for you, okay? So as we close here, what's one thing before you leave that if you can open up your mic, what's one thing, or you can put in the chat, what's one thing that you're going to do this week in regards to setting a boundary? Just let me know what's the one thing, because I think it's important for you to identify what's the one thing. If it's going to be awareness, if it's going to be you talking to yourself in the mirror, if it's going to be with you actually setting a boundary, actually saying the word no without over explaining, like Sophia said, not apologizing for being alive, taking up space. Like you said, why are you apologizing? We're breathing the same air. So, one thing this week, because one thing this week I want you to do to set a boundary, hold the boundary. Remember, Jade, don't justify, argue, defend, or explain. Okay? You're going to move forward with the boundary and hold it. Walk away so there's no negotiation. And don't be hurt. You don't have to be hurtful, but you got to be firm. All right? All right. Ms. Harmon says, this is what she's going to do this week. Thank you. Practice saying no and no alone without explanation provided. Perfect. Perfect. And you got a dialogue. Denise says she's definitely going to do the mirror work. Yes, talk to that person and talk to her in the mirror. Let her know. It's okay to do that as you move forward. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. Share the number, share the Zoom link. Don't keep me to yourself as I'm sharing people. And it's good to see new people in here. Sheila, thank you for joining us this morning. She's gonna do mirror work. Um, Shirley said, being okay with saying with my no. It is my no. It is my no. It's my no. It's not your no because you came to me because you're used to me saying yes. A lot of people come to you because they're used to you saying yes, Miss Shirley. They're used to her saying yes. But at some point, she got to say no. And it's okay. It's okay. Clearly. All right. All right. All hearts and mind clear, as they say in church. We're going to end here. Thank you so much. I'm Dr. Cheryl Clarke. And as always, remember that your voice matters, you matter. Speak your power now. God bless you and have a good one. Until next time.